So thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Barry Erickson and I am Community Engagement Coordinator at Wheaton Public Library. Tonight, we are delighted to bring you Decoding Utility Bills. A representative from the Citizens Utility Board is here to help us figure out our utility bills and provide other energy saving tips. We will learn about some of the various pandemic-related protections now available as well. The Citizens Utility Board is a nonpartisan community watchdog organization, and Amy Gendusa English is their lead service liaison. She has been with CUB since 2004. So with so much expertise and important information to share with us, Amy, I'm delighted to turn the microphone and the video over to you. Thanks for being here tonight, Amy.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. So hopefully some of our attendees have heard of us before. We usually go by the acronym CUB. We are a statewide consumer watchdog group. We've been around since 1983. Our role, according to statute, is to challenge utility rate hikes. So anytime that they go to the Illinois Commerce Commission and ask for permission to change one of the line items on your gas or electric bill, we step in, our attorneys, and represent the public interest in those legal proceedings. So kind of like a public defender or public citizen voice. We also do work in Springfield fighting for consumer protection laws. And then we have an outreach department, which is where I am. And we go all over the place, normally in person, and talk to folks about anything that they would like to know about their utility bills. And we do have a statewide consumer hotline. So if you ever do have a question or a concern or a complaint, you can call the number on your screen, which is 1-800-669-5556. And that is still up and running, even though we are not doing in-person events right now. So one of the things that we do a lot of are utility bill checkups. So we have a model that we call a utility bill clinic or a checkup, which kind of means that we go over individual bills one-on-one and point out energy consumption information. We can evaluate alternative energy supply rates, and we can talk about individual concerns. So like if you've been getting energy reports from ComEd that say you're in trouble, you use too much electricity, you're above average, and you might be trying to figure out why am I using more energy than my neighbors. So we have found that when we sit down with folks one-on-one and go over their bills, the information tends to soak in better. So these are very popular events, and normally we do hundreds of them throughout the year. Since we're not able to go out in person very much, we've set up a dedicated email box. So if you're interested, you can send in a bill. That email is on the screen, ubc@citizensutilityboard.org. And those do come to me. So if after we're done tonight, you would like to send your bill, feel free. I'll be the one that responds to you. So one important thing that we always go over when we do sit with folks is if we notice that they have a past due balance, we'll make sure that they are aware of all the different financial assistance options that are available. So under normal circumstances, we do have the low income home energy assistance program. What we find in our work at CUB is that a lot of people may qualify for this program, even if they don't think of themselves as low income, because it's a program designed to look at your 30-day household income. There are a lot of seniors who, if you're living on Social Security, you may not think of yourself as low income, but you would fall within the guidelines for what they think of. And then you can get a grant on your bills. In response to the COVID crisis and the economic problems that we're all suffering under, the LIHEAP program has been expanded. So it goes up to 200% of the federal poverty level. And then each of the utility companies, they have supplemented their own financial assistance programs with extra COVID funds. And so there are grants available anywhere from, to a couple $100 up to the LIHEAP PIP program can give you $1,800 over the course of a year. So these many of these programs are available through the state of Illinois Help Illinois Families hotline. So I'll say that number out loud: 1-833-711-0374. The rest of them have different numbers that you can call, and hopefully you'll be able to pull that information off the chart if you view it afterwards. So for everybody, regardless of income, there are a number of savings and credit programs that we recommend. These are all 3 programs that are offered through Commonwealth Edison. You can get a free home energy assessment. That's where they send a technician out. They go through your home and change all your light bulbs. They will give you a new thermostat if you don't already have a programmable thermostat. And they put insulation around your hot water pipes and give you new sink and shower heads. And those measures are funded through the gas company, so it's actually a partnership. But there's no out-of-pocket cost for this program, and we do encourage everybody to take advantage of it because it is funded through one of the line items on your utility bill. So you should definitely get your money's worth out of the 37 cents that you're sending to ComEd and NICOR. We also have the Peak Time Savings Program. This is another ComEd program. You can get a credit on your bill in the summer, anywhere from $2 to $12 a month. What happens is on certain days when there's a lot of traffic on our electric grid, they will notify everybody who's in the Peak Time Savings Program that they would like you to take steps to reduce your energy consumption. So you're in competition with yourself. So if you take whatever you do to use less electricity than your household did during a similar time period last year, they give you an incentive. So if you really work it, you can get the $12. This summer on the most recent event, I'm on Peak Time Savings and I got an $8 credit, which I thought was pretty good. And there's no downside to that program. So it's a great way to get kind of dip your toe in the water and start thinking about when you use electricity, because that's sort of the wave of the future, which brings me to the hourly pricing program. So hourly pricing, again, this is a price plan that's available through ComEd, doesn't involve switching to another company. And with that, at the end of the month, the typical consumer saves at least 15% off the supply portion of their electricity bill. And the way that works is a little bit complicated, but behind the scenes, they keep track of when you're using your electricity, and it usually for the vast majority of the time, the price at that moment is cheaper than what ComEd would be charging under their typical flat public rate. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that in one of the next slides. But I'm on hourly pricing and I have saved quite a bit. I just looked at my bill today and my effective price was about 5 cents a kilowatt hour when the public ComEd price is about 7.1 cents a kilowatt hour right now. So all of these programs, as well as a bunch of other ones, are available on the ComEd website at the link on the bottom. And even though we are not ComEd and we at CUB as a watchdog are often butting heads with ComEd, we do promote these programs because us and our staff, we have spent a lot of time in a lot of meetings working to make these programs available and improve them and make sure that folks know about them. So they will benefit you, and we encourage everyone to take advantage of them. Let me ask, do we have any questions about those positive programs before we move on?
Hi, Amy. There weren't any questions yet, but I was wondering for that free home energy assessment, is there something, should people think about that at a particular time? I mean, does it make sense at this point in the fall to do that? Would it be better to wait into the winter?
You can do it anytime. They were on hiatus because of the COVID, but you know, as long as you're comfortable letting the technicians come into your home with all of their appropriate precautions, there isn't really a good time or a bad time of year.
Okay, great, great. And just a reminder to everyone who's here in the webinar, please feel free to type in your questions into the Q&A and we will get to those. Amy's answering them throughout the program. Thanks.
Yeah. So alternative energy suppliers are another thing that keep us pretty busy at Cub. You may have heard of other companies that will solicit you and ask if you would like to save money on your gas or electric bill. This has been around for a while, so it's not news. But what we have found over the years is that the vast majority of these alternative offers make your bill go up, not down. So although there are certain scenarios where you might save, it's much more likely that you're going to lose money. It's not a good deal if you are low income because it can eat up your LIHEAP grants. And there have been quite a few deceptive marketing situations where there have been quite a few situations where companies are doing things like slamming accounts. That means that they switch without your consent. And even under the best of circumstances, they are probably using a teaser rate. So they tell you that you're going to save. They can claim that they're cheaper than ComEd or NICOR. But at the end of the day, that rate is only good for a certain amount of time. And after that, it goes up dramatically. So over the years, we've had a few different lawsuits and different media investigations. And there are new consumer protections that exist. So if you do sign up with a company like this, they have to have a third-party verification call recorded. You have 30 days from the receipt of your first bill to cancel. There are no soliciting of any kind inside of a multi-unit building. So over the years, we had a lot of problem with door-to-door solicitors going inside of apartment buildings and knocking on individual doors, which was especially alarming for senior citizens in some senior buildings and retirement village type scenarios. So that is not allowed at all. There are no more exit fees. In the past, we saw people get burned with expensive penalties for exiting the contract. You can now leave at any time if you do find that you're overpaying. And they cannot switch your account at all if you're a recipient of the LIHEAP program. So there are a number of protections that come into play if you do apply for the low-income home energy assistance program, and this is one of them. Alternative suppliers cannot switch your account unless they can prove that they will save money. And this probably won't come as any surprise to anybody, but there aren't any that have filed a guaranteed savings plan because they really can't save money. So, and as of right now, there are still no in-person sales whatsoever. So you shouldn't have anybody knocking on your door. And I believe that also extends to like setting up a booth, because you'll sometimes run into the solicitors like at Walmart or Costco, and they're trying to ask you to sign up. Any questions about suppliers?
I don't think so, but I was in another meeting just today where they were talking about how there are a lot of scams out there. It seems like the pandemic has just started a lot of things. So there's been quite a bit of concern, especially for seniors.
Yeah.
If someone is being approached and they, the deal sounds really incredible, who would they is there someplace they could contact just to investigate and find out what Cub knows about this the organization that they're considering?
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and advance the slide because part of the information that you need I can tell you today. But in general, you can call us if you ever have a question. Our number again is 1-800-669-5556. And then the other piece of information that you need in order to determine if it's a good deal, you have to know what the ComEd price is right now. So that's why I have this image of a ComEd bill. The vast majority of the alternative supply plans are electricity plans, but they do sometimes offer gas as well. Right now in Illinois, we have about 86 different alternative electric companies certified. XYZ Illinois Power is not an actual company name, but we have seen all sorts of crazy names. So I wouldn't be surprised if XYZ Illinois Power someday is a company. So the price to compare right now, like I said, is 7.1 cents per kilowatt hour. If they're offering you more than that, it's definitely not a good deal. And if they're telling you that electricity prices are going up, that is also not true. It depends on how they spin it. But our electricity prices in Illinois are set by the Illinois Power Agency and the Illinois Commerce Commission. And there are no rate increases confirmed right now in the future. And the Illinois Power Agency supply price is set every May and goes into effect in June. So the 7.1 cents per kilowatt hour is good from now until the end of May 2021. So if you look at your bill after our seminar today and you see another name up there, you really shouldn't see any name other than ComEd. And if you do, then you look down here on the back of your bill and you can find out what they're charging you down here in the fine print. So I believe everyone should be able to see my cursor, my little white arrow down there. So that's going to tell you a dollar amount per kilowatt hour. And then over here in the messages, ComEd prints their price to compare. So you don't have to remember what I said, but you'll see it on your bill. Now for NICOR, I'm assuming that most of our audience is from Wheaton, so that would be NICOR service territory. Like I said, there are alternative suppliers that also sell gas plans. There's only about 12 companies that are soliciting in NICOR territory, so it's a little bit of a smaller market. But unfortunately, what we have found is that people who do sign up with an alternative gas company tend to overpay by quite a wide margin. So it was something like, a couple $100s per year in excess cost because gas prices are much more volatile and they are counting on you not paying attention and they can get away with overcharging you more. So right now, the NICOR price is about 26 cents per therm. And so if anybody's offering you more than that, that's also not a good deal. Nationwide, natural gas prices have been depressed for quite a while. That's due to hydraulic fracturing or fracking because the market has been flooded with a lot of local, readily available natural gas. So I know in the old days, even in the time that I've been at Cub, it wasn't uncommon to see winter gas prices up to like 90 cents a therm. But for the last at least 5-7 years, they've been down in the 20 and 30 cent range. So, and if you have a NICOR bill, the place that you look is up here on the right-hand side under this total additional products and services. So pro tip, you really don't need any additional products and services on your NICOR bill. So if you have anything under that heading, it is most likely something that you can and or should cancel. Any gas and electric supply questions?
No, not right now. But again, just a reminder to people, there's a lot of great information here. If you have any questions, be sure to enter those in the Q&A, and the control for that is probably along the lower edge of your Zoom webinar screen, or it could be in the more section as you open that for additional controls. But
okay.
Sounds great, Amy. Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Back to electricity. Now is a great time to go solar in Illinois. So you'll see an awful lot of excitement and marketing around solar. And I just got through telling you how to beware of shady marketing in the alternative electric market. And there are some things to watch out for with solar as well. But in the Future Energy Jobs Act was passed in 2017, and we just got started in 2019 and 2020 with the Illinois Adjustable Block Program, sometimes called Illinois Shines. And there are now quite a few state and federal incentives that can make it a lot more affordable for you. There have also been some technological advancements. So the panels that are around are producing a little bit more electricity than they used to in the old days. I like to include this slide because I'm not a solar expert. We do have someone else on staff at Cub that can answer more in-depth solar questions. But in my experience, I know that there's been a sentiment in Illinois and in the Chicagoland area that, oh, we don't get enough sun for solar energy to be effective. That is definitely not true, because like I said, the technology has evolved over the years. So the latest panels are a lot more productive, but also we do get a lot of sun. So what this colorful picture shows us is that, like, over here in the Southwest, they're getting tons and tons of access to photovoltaic resources, but we're in this green zone here, so we're kind of in the middle. The country of Germany, you can see they're kind of like purple. So they, at their location on the globe, they are not getting as many photons as we are at our location. They're kind of more equivalent to Alaska, which we think of as pretty cold and dark. But the country of Germany gets about 70% of their electricity overall from solar. So there's plenty of growth. There's room for us to grow and get a lot more electricity from solar and start dialing back our reliance on things that spew pollution into the air. So the way that solar works, physically as well as economically, is that if you're going to put solar panels on your own roof, the installer comes out, they put the panels across the roof, and then they also install what's called an inverter. So that's this little box down here. And then the last piece of the puzzle is your meter. So you've already got the meter on your house. You may remember a few years ago, there was a lot of buzz about the new electric quote unquote smart meters. So everybody has had their meter upgraded as far as we know. And the meter that you have on your house can now accommodate a bi-directional flow of electricity. So your house is already ready to accept electricity from solar panels if you were to install them. And it will keep track of the amount of electricity that you draw from your panels, the amount of electricity that you draw from the wider grid. And if you actually have a surplus, the meter will feed it back into the grid and give you a credit for it. So all of that stuff is ready to go. If you've been thinking of solar panels, now is a good time to do it. And you can explore your options on the ComEd website. Again, that's a good place to start because you can kind of trust ComEd in this regard because they're not trying to sell you solar panels. They just provide this as a public resource, partly because the government makes them do it. But you can put in your address, and this is my house here in Chicago, and it will tell you your roof's solar potential. So like it looks at my roof and it's like all these yellow dots are places where a solar panel could go. And the dark dots are spots where, like, I don't know if there's some sort of like house equipment or like a chimney or something, so they know that you can't put a panel there. And to cover your roof and solar panels, they give you an estimate, upfront installation cost, $23,000 to $29,000. That's a lot, but the cost after all of the available incentives would only be about $8,000 out of pocket. So that's quite a jump down, right? I mean, that definitely brings those panels more into the range of affordability for a homeowner than they would be without the incentives. So at that rate, the website predicted that my panels would pay for themselves in about 10 years. What's neat about this website too is that you can get a more accurate calculation if you link it to your own ComEd account, which I did not do for this particular estimate because I wanted it to be kind of generalized for the purposes of presentations like this. But if you link it to your own account data, which ComEd has, then it will give you an accurate number of how many solar panels you might need in order to meet your house's demand. So this is just an estimate if I wanted to cover the whole roof, but some people might not need that many panels. So you can tailor it to a degree. Cub also recently completed the Solarized Chicagoland program. We were partnering with all of these different counties, as well as the Midwest Renewable Energy Association. And we did an RFP and selected a vendor that would offer an extra discount for 100 homes within this county area. So the 100 homes that applied to be in the program they had all of their assessments done, and they're going to purchase the solar panels. They will take advantage of all of the different incentives. And then that particular installer gave them an extra discount off of the cost for grouping together. So we hope to do this again in the future. This was actually the second year in a row that we did it. People really like it. And because Cub, one of our #1 missions is just cost savings. This is kind of a new thing that we've never done before, but it definitely yielded cost savings for consumers. So that's good. Then there is also the Solar for All program, which is if you meet certain income guidelines, which again is probably within the reach of senior citizens who may not think of themselves as low income, but if they're no longer earning wages, then they may be able to qualify for additional discounts and incentives on rooftop solar. So that figure is over here at or below 80% of the area median income, which is about $63,000 a year for a family of 4. So if you're interested in those extra deep discounts, you can check out the Illinois Solar for All website. And I'll just leave my phone number and website and email address up there. Have we gotten any questions yet?
Not quite yet. I'm wondering if someone does decide to invest in solar. You said that there were a number of different ways to get discounts. How would one go about applying for those?
Yeah, so there's a state tax credit and there's a federal tax credit, which happen on your tax return. But there is also the renewable energy credit. And the way that the program works, it's a little technical, but they the vendor so there's a cost assigned because you are contributing renewable energy to our grid, and ComEd is obligated to buy that renewable energy from you if you have a surplus, and they're also kind of obligated to use the renewable energy that you're putting out. So usually the vendor, you sign the renewable energy credit value over to the vendor and they knock it off of the upfront cost. So there's a thing called a renewable energy certificate, which is a nationally understood way of monetizing like carbon offsets and things like that. And then in Illinois, we have an so that's usually called a REC, and then we have an SREC, which is a solar renewable energy credit. And our Illinois Power Agency oversees all of that management. So in order to get solar panels on your roof, you have to go through an approved vendor that is already been vetted by the Illinois Power Agency. And then they sort of, that government administration kind of makes it possible for that vendor to knock the price off up front. So that's where a lot of that cost comes off, because otherwise, again, if you go back to the numbers that I showed, being able to finance a $25,000 investment as opposed to, okay, well now we're only talking about an $8,000 investment, that's a significant difference for a lot of homeowners. So it does make it a lot more attractive. Otherwise, prior to the existence of the Illinois program, you would have had to pay the whole thing up front and then filed a bunch of paperwork and asked for a rebate. So they just simplified it for the consumer.
Right, that's great. And that way you're not paying up front and just hoping to get the rebate later. Yeah,
Yeah.
Fabulous. There is a question about how to find out if someone might qualify for low income, um, you- if they fall within those boundaries so that they would be able to get those discounts or qualify for certain programs.
On the websites that I listed in the slides, there are various spots where you can check like the criteria for different um, percentages of the federal poverty level, as well as that 80% of the area median income. There are like little charts, and you can get to all of those through our website, which is here, because everything that I put up on the screen today, you can also link to it through our website. And if you're wondering on behalf of yourself as an individual, feel free to call me or send me an email, and I'll just send you the link directly. Because it's usually like a matrix, so it'll say household size, and then it'll go across and show, like if it's a 4-person household at or below $63,000 annually. Some of them do it by month.
Right. So it varies a little bit, but there's
Mhm.
specs for that. Right.
It does, but the main thing that I always like to emphasize is that a lot of these things are available to, you know, they're not, they're kind of more for like moderate income as opposed to like deep poverty. So because those thresholds are raised in order to, at, they're targeted at people who are probably homeowners. So they're very realistic. A lot of people probably do qualify that might not realize that these are out there.
Right. Much more approachable than one might initially think.
Yeah, more realistic.
Hmm. Hmm. There's another question. Someone uh, logged in just a little bit later. Could you go over again how CUB reviews bills and advises on how to get a cheaper price? And is that available on things like cell phone packages or carriers for cell phone service?
We do. So for our utility bill clinics, we look at telecom, internet, and cable bills as well. They're not as cut and dried as gas and electric bills, because with gas and electricity, there's all these different things that you can do to reduce your energy consumption. And there's the complaint process. If we do find somebody that has an alternative supplier that's overcharging them, we can help them cancel and try to solicit a refund for them and stuff like that. But in the telecom and cable and internet realm, we do find a lot of savings that we can point to, even though we can't do anything directly with that carrier. A big thing is a lot of people have really bloated packages and bundles. So they may be paying for like for example, like a typical Comcast triple play would have a home phone and uh, television cable and then high speed internet. And so once we get to talking to folks, we might find out that, um, well, they're paying for a high speed internet connection, but they're mainly using the cable TV, and they have not learned how to use streaming devices yet. This might be more for a senior. On the other hand, you might have somebody who really only wanted the internet because they have a bunch of iPads and different devices that are connected, and they originally got sold a triple play package because it was cheaper, and then at this point they could probably downgrade, but they think that they can't. So stuff like that. Looking for things where you're paying for more internet speed or more internet bandwidth than you need, or using or not using internet speed and bandwidth that you are paying for. So
Right.
like, and it's not uncommon to also find data overlap. So I find a lot of people who have um, like they may have a cell phone plan through Verizon, and then they added an iPad on their Verizon bill, which is using cellular data. But they don't take the iPad anywhere, so they could actually just use it on their home Wi-Fi, and they may not realize that they're paying for this extra data on the Verizon line when they don't need to. that kind of thing. So there can be some overlaps.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like great advice, especially as many people are looking for more bandwidth, but they may,
Mhm.
but we don't want to be paying overlapping bills for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds
And
great.
we do take complaints about cable and TV and internet. So that is something you can call our office and file a complaint about if you're, like if you do a home speed test and you're just consistently not getting the speed that you're paying for, or if you I don't know, if you have a discrepancy on your package. It was set to expire in August of 2020, but they're still charging you for this extra thing that you canceled, or things like that. We can certainly take those complaints.
Great. Great. Thank you. Okay. We want to allow people just another minute or two here. If you have any additional questions that you'd like to ask Amy, we've got this great resource. So be sure to open up the Q&A and ask anything that you'd like about any of these topics. Someone is asking if there's a best way to contact you to set up an appointment to talk through some things.
Well, yeah, no, it's whatever's most convenient for you. So you can call our hotline and talk to somebody, and you can send in a bill to the dedicated email address, which is ubc@citizensutilityboard.org. And then we have been trying virtual utility bill clinics where we can set up a Zoom appointment or something like that. So there's a lot of options. If you send your bills in, we will most likely ask you if you'd like us to call you or just reply to you by email.
Okay, great, great. And as you know, this program has been recorded, and we will be putting it up on the library's YouTube page within a week. So if you want to go back and look through that again, perhaps recommend it to a friend, pause on some of those screens in order to take down some of that information, look at those income levels and that sort of thing. Again, that will be available within a week because we'll get the program uploaded. Any other questions tonight? We want to give people a chance to think that through.
I would add that the library could always host a virtual utility bill clinic as well, kind of as a follow-up to today's event. And so when we do it as a group, it would be people would register through the library just like you did tonight. And then depending on how many people are attending, we do like breakout rooms. So we might have 3 or 4 Cub staff available, and we would give you a time slot. So somebody would be having a virtual appointment at 7, somebody at 7:20, and then as you came into the room, we would have one staffer just kind of manning the virtual waiting room, and then we would assign people to these virtual breakout rooms. So then it would just be one-on-one, screen to screen, talking about the bills. And so that gets kind of
Great,
fun.
great. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's an incredible service. I wrote that down so we can work on setting that up. That's wonderful. All right. Well, I don't think there are any other questions tonight, Amy. Thank you so much. We certainly want to thank you and the Citizens Utility Board for generously giving your time and the effort that it took to put this presentation together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will be sending out the links to Cub's website, as well as a few other things that Amy's provided for us in an email to all of the registrants. If you would like that information and you're watching this as a recording, you can go ahead and email me at ce@wheatonlibrary.org. That's C as in community, E as in engagement, community engagement, at wheatonlibrary.org, and I'd be happy to send those links to you. Again, this program has been recorded and it will be available on our website in about a week, and that way you can look at it as a YouTube video. All right, I think that's it for tonight. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Take care, and we hope to see you again soon. Good night.